The pj-fleck-show is brought to you by Cub Foods and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. It's the pj-fleck-show with Hobie RT, Ron Johnson, and Justin Guard. Let's row the boat.
It was awesome to get him back on the field on Saturday, and to see him make a couple big plays was obviously really huge. The energy, the emotion that he brings.
We can do a lot of growing as an offense, even as a team. We can be way better than what we are now. I can say we're hitting another gear. We're picking it up now. We're starting to find that rhythm, but we can also be way better, and we'll show that during the season.
Well, the Gophers have won 2 in a row, but as you can see, there's still more to grow as we welcome you to the PJ-Fleck Show, joined by Gophers head coach PJ Fleck, as always, as well as former Gopher receiver Ron Johnson and KFAN's Justin Guard. I'm Hobie Artigue, and Coach, Saturday was just a mile-high feeling for your Gophers, getting the program's first shutout win since 2006 in Colorado. What allowed the team just to play so free and also effective last weekend in your estimation?
I'm just happy about the way we responded for the Miami of Ohio game. You know, we really were critical in that game of ourselves when we came back on Sunday. Saw a lot of things on film that we really needed to correct, and I thought the effort was tremendous. We have a lot more meat left on the bone. That's not just the best we can play. There's a lot of mistakes done special teams-wise with multiple missed field goals. We didn't finish drives on offense into the end zone. And then defensively, we've just got to continue to play harder for longer. So, but again, there's so much more room to grow. I did see a lot of leadership on the field, which is really positive as you continue to move into the season. But, you know, there was a lot to get better from last week to this week for sure.
Yeah, Coach, and when you look at the run game, I mean, 262 yards on the ground. Colorado the week before had only gave up 58 yards rushing. Trey Potts led the way, but what did the offensive line do, and what was the mindset going into this game that, you know, kind of created a dominating kind of performance?
Well, first of all, they got a really good defense. You know, a lot of guys who have played a ton of football for them. And we knew that, you know, running the foot, we were going to have to be really balanced. And going into the game, we thought we were going to have to be able to spread them out a little bit more, not just get into our heavy personnel, but get into a little bit more spread formations and really create a lot of space on the field. And I thought we did that and executed that very well. I thought our running backs did a good job of breaking tackles. I thought our O-line really sustained blocks. And again, you know, we went out there and we practiced all week, you know, getting ready for the elements. You know, it was a warm day, and I thought our players handled that really well. But, you know, we're a run-first type system, and, you know, if we're going to continue to run with the success, we'll stay with it. But, you know, we were able to complete some passes as well that made the run game pretty efficient.
We talked about Bucky Irving last week after his kick return. We got to see a lot more of him as a running back against Colorado, Coach. What led to him getting more of an opportunity, and what did you see from him on Saturday?
Yeah, well, we're going to be running back by committee. Remember, there's, you know, Glenn Mason used to say here that there's a pair and a spare, and then all I've done is say there's a pair and a spare, and then you got to add air to the pair and the spare. But, you know, you have to be able to do those things, and you have to, you know, injuries are part of the game, and it's unfortunate. And, you know, I think Bucky's earned the opportunity to be able to go out there and earn reps, especially when he's been on, you know, Sunday night football is what we have, and we scrimmage with guys who did not play in the game, and he just continues to have success on the field. And, you know, I think the players at some time they notice that, and they know that he's a really special player and is going to be one day. So there's no better time than the present to start getting him acclimated to being a really good tailback here.
Coach, true freshmen are often expected to make an impact, especially guys that are high-level recruits like Bucky was. But it is a transition to go from high school to college and also from college to the pros. But talking about the high school to college jump, we saw his burst on that kick return against Miami of Ohio. But what told you before that game against Colorado that Irving was just ready to take on more and more and more as the game progressed?
First of all, he's an amazing teammate. He's incredibly selfless, and he's one of the best students of the game on this football team as a young person. Mohamed Abraham's done a great job taking him under his wing, just like a little brother. And wherever Mohamed goes, there's Bucky right next to him. And I mean, literally, they're like brothers. And he just wants to know more and more. And he's a sponge. And he loves the game of football. You know, one thing when we were recruiting Bucky, and Bucky loves his whole life, you know, academically, athletically, and socially and spiritually. But Bucky will make sure he knows Bucky loves football. And he's really good at it. And we look forward to many things to come for him. And just happy for the performance he had. But he's got to get way better, too. I mean, he's only a true freshman, and what you're seeing is just the beginning of something that could be a really special career, but it's just the beginning. He's so humble. He works really hard, and there's no doubt that he'll reach his potential.
Also, Coach, Bucky, of course, the nickname for one of your rivals. We won't go there just yet. But do you know where he got his nickname from?
Not really. There's multiple stories out there. I'm not sure which one to believe from him at times. You know, he's a good storyteller and he's got a lot of jokes. So he's also the young man that called Coach Burns maybe 3 times during the recruiting process and decommitted as a joke. But it really wasn't a joke to the coaching staff. He just wanted to make sure he was truly wanted. So, you know, that's Bucky, though. He's got a great personality. I think everybody's going to really like getting to know this young man. And he really is infectious.
Well, Coach, I'm guessing at some point you're going to have to play a joke on him in front of the team at the team meeting room. I know you're good at those. But when you look at Chris Autman-Bell, he finally came back. I've been waiting for this return. I mean, it was like when Michael Jordan finally said he's back. Now Crabbe stepped back onto the field and had some big catches. But what is that? I mean, he was who he is. We know Chris was Chris. But now Chris, and you put him with Dalen. What can that look like?
Well, yeah, not only that, with Daniel Jackson, Michael Brown-Stevens, and, you know, I think just having Chris Autman-Bell back on the field was a positive for us this week. He's got incredible leadership qualities. I think the team feels way better when he's on the field. And those young guys really look up to him, and they should. I think he's one of the better receivers in our conference, and he's one of the best players on our football team and one of the best people. So, you know, when your best players are your hardest workers and they're your best leaders, you have something special. And it was just good to have him back on the field, and you know, expect a lot of big things to come from him into the future. And he's doing a great job of leading those young guys.
PJ, I just realized that Ron put together this show today because you had a shutout defensively, and all we've done is talk about the offense. So I'm going to switch it and talk about the defense. First shutout in 15 years. First time you shut out a Pac-12 team, I think, on the road since 1948. I think that was your recruiting visit. You saw some of that. But what did you see from your defense, specifically the linebackers like Mariano and Jack Gibbons? They were the leading tacklers, which I imagine is kind of how things were designed.
Yeah, first of all, we got to get a lot better in a lot of different areas. This isn't an end-all, be-all. I mean, it's one game, and we're gonna continue to change our best and grow. There's a lot of things on the film that we brought, even though there are only 40-some snaps, that we have to continue to get better at. But I thought we did a really good job of getting off the field. I mean, there are only 42 total snaps on defense. We were really good on third down, getting off the field. We tackled really well. You know, I think those are the things that, you know, are the recipe to being able to have a really good defense. Is you got to get takeaways. We got to take away on defense. We got one on special teams. And then you got to be really efficient on first, second down to set up really third and longs, and that's what we were able to do to get off the field.
Linebacker Braelin Oliver left the game. I think it was a friendly fire situation. Do you have an update on him for Saturday?
Oh, no, he's fine.
Fine.
All right.
There we go.
That's good to know. That's good to know moving forward. Well, Coach, after not having any sacks this season, we chatted about it last week, your line came out firing with 4 sacks in the first half. Boye Mafe played great with a pair. Also, Thomas Rush did too with 2 sacks. How cohesive did that group play together in that first half? And can getting numbers, I know we talked about it last week, it's not really indicative of getting a pass rush sometimes, but can those sack totals, especially after not having some to start the season, really provide a spark somewhere along the line for the rest of this campaign?
I mean, if it presents itself, I think sacks are important if they present themselves. You know, I mean, you always want to go get sacks. I mean, but there's people on the other side to get paid too and have really good players on scholarship. And if they fear the pass rush, they're going to do everything they can to make sure that ball's out of the quarterback's hand really, really early. We missed some tackles. We missed some sacks. We had 4 sacks, but we missed, I think, 3 or 4 of them. Mm-hmm. That's more my concern is why, when we have an opportunity to get one, why aren't we getting it? Because, you know, we could put 7 people in the box and bring them all the time and maybe get more sacks, but maybe give up way bigger plays. And so there's a balance to that. But I think that for the guys that did get some sacks, I think it's really positive for them that, you know, anytime you don't have any, you're saying, why don't I have any sacks? And sometimes you start playing outside the system. They stayed within playing inside the system and were able to get the sacks when they presented themselves. So when they present themselves, we got to do better at making sure we get that person down on the ground, which we miss them. And then, you know, we just have to be patient and take what, and get after the quarterback when we can and make sure we do a good job covering down the field.
Yeah, Coach, and you talked about after the first game, DBs not giving up explosive plays. And it looked like in Colorado, they were in the position, but then they also made the plays. You had a lot of PBUs. Coney Doris stepped up big time in this game. What impressed you about this defense or the defensive backs this week?
Yeah, well, I thought they were in position, and I thought when the ball was in the air, they made plays on it. I thought they tackled really well as well. So when you put all those 3 together, you're going to have some success, especially on the outside. So, We knew Colorado would want to run the ball. They'd want to be balanced. And, again, when there's not a lot of plays, it means you're doing a really good job tackling, you're getting off the field, and the DBs were a big part of that.
I asked you last week, Coach, about going back on the road for the first time in a normal situation. So I'll follow up. What was it like getting the team back out on the road, meeting as a team, traveling as a team, all of those things? No Zoom meetings with 10 people in 10 different rooms like you talked about last week. What was the experience like?
Yeah, I mean, it felt as normal as it ever has been. You got a chance to go out to a beautiful part of the country. I'd never been to Boulder, Colorado, so it was really nice to be able to see that place. And I've seen it on film multiple times, seen it on TV multiple times, and that backdrop with the mountains is absolutely gorgeous. But, just going out there and especially you're making a road trip, and then you have a little bit of the altitude and you have a lot of the science behind that, and the medical team give you advice on that. So it made it a little bit harder of a road trip, just because there was all the other boxes that you had to be able to check. But, Joy Thomas, our medical staff, our medical team, our doctors, our the people that we got the science from and the data, just want to thank all them. And then our fans came out there and made it feel a little bit like a home game. Mm-hmm. And that was what really special about the day. Was it felt like a home game. A third of the crowd was maroon and gold, and they were incredibly loud, and we felt them the entire game.
Coach, you mentioned pregame. I know you're probably locked in, but what did you think about Ralphie the Buffalo? Was that the first time you got to see that?
We didn't get to see it. We're in the locker room.
Oh,
they keep you in the locker room until Ralphie, because the tunnel is where Ralphie's cage is.
Yep.
He runs out, and then he runs back to his cage, but his cage is right where you walk out to from the visitor locker room. So they always make sure. I think he got away. Ralphie got away. The other Ralphie, who I don't think's alive anymore, got away a few years back. I think they were worried about that. But there's a little Ralphie. I think it's a girl this time.
Yeah.
She's a little Ralphie. And I got to see it on, a playback. But I heard it. I mean, people were really excited about it. I know that. And it's one of the best, I think, one of the great college football traditions out there. Just never got to see it. We were in the locker room. So we had a job to do, and our job was to be 1-0. And I'd trade 1-0 from seeing Ralphie anytime.
Baby Ralphie, by the way, only 500 pounds.
That's it?
15 months. She's going to grow. 15 months.
Maybe some live gophers on campus.
We've had weirder things.
Huh. I don't know.
We've got turkeys running around. They scare Ron every Saturday.
This is true. Well, another non-conference game this season is coming up as the Gophers try to keep their winning streak going against Bowling Green. We chat about the Falcons, the opponent the Gophers face next. Coming up next here on the pj-fleck-show.
Let's row the boat. You're watching the pj-fleck-show.
Welcome back to the show, Coach. Before we move on to Bowling Green, you built up that big lead late in the game against Colorado, allowed other players to get more time in the game, one being Zach Annexstad. What did it mean to you as a coach to get Zach back on the field, especially after a long road to get back into that position?
Yeah, I mean, you always have to be ready for your opportunity. I mean, football's a violent game, and Zach could be the starter tomorrow. I mean, just never know. So any chance we get guys to be able to get in the game and get experience, especially in this season, it's not about what they had in the past, about what they had now. And it wasn't a lot of reps, but it was meaningful enough to get back out there and go play. And we'll do everything we can throughout the season to get as many people as we can experience. But Zach's played a lot of football for us too, and he's practiced a lot of football with this team. He's a great teammate, truly is. I mean, he's really turned into a fantastic leader, not only of himself, but the other guys in the room, especially the young quarterbacks, and really kind of taking on that big brother role. And it's nice to be able to see that from Zach.
Yeah, Coach, in the kicking game. I mean, I know you and Mike Zimmer both have probably talked about kickers, maybe not. But Matthew Trickett started off a little slow, but then bounced back later in the game. You know, what was that like, or how important was it to get him back in the groove to make sure he made his kicks? And then, you know, not so much for this week, but then going next week.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met a perfect kicker, ever, just based on how much trust you have in that person. And Matthew Trickett has made some huge kicks already for us. I mean, I get to watch him every day in practice. Some days maybe you just don't have it, and that's football. That's every position. I think kickers get a lot of spotlight, put on them. And my whole philosophy with him, especially right now, is keep kicking him. Get him back out there. I mean, it's like the movie Top Gun. Get him back up there. Get him in the and that's what we kept doing. And I know he missed the extra point, or missed a field goal, missed the extra point, missed another field goal. My whole thing was get him back out there. We're going to need him the whole year. And there's going to be some ebbs and flows. There's going to be some highs, some lows. There's going to be some adapting to new situations. And I understand that. But we all have a job to do. we all have to be able to find a way to, put it through the uprights and be better. And I know he'll change his best and learn from the things this week and move on. But he's a very experienced kicker too. I mean, he's missed a field goal or two before and came back and made a lot. So that's why we have him, because we trust him and we'll keep putting him out there.
Flipping to Bowling Green, offensively, it seems like they try to do a lot of different things. You almost have to be prepared for all kinds of crazy tricks and formations and different things that they try to do. Is that true, first of all, and what are the challenges in preparing for a team like that where you maybe aren't sure what's always going to be coming?
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of different things within their offense and defensive systems. Offensively speaking, they will run the ball. They will throw the ball vertically, but they do a lot of things with screens and getting the ball out of the quarterback's hand immediately. They like to roll out, a lot of nakeds, a lot of bootlegs, a lot of trick plays, a little bit of trickery here and there. So again, we've got to be at our best. It's not about who we play; it's about how well we play, and we got to be ready for anything. And I'm sure they're going to have a lot of new wrinkles up their sleeve and a lot of things up their sleeve. And then we've also got to be ready on the defensive side of the ball. They've shown multiple different fronts. And done a lot of things in the blitz game, and I'm sure they're going to play us differently than maybe some of the teams they've played. So we might see some things we've never even seen on film, but we've got to be ready for that. We will be ready for that. And again, our opponent. We study our opponent, respect our opponents always. But at the end of the day, it comes down to how hard we play and how well we play. That's what every game always comes down to. And I think every head coach would maybe agree with that it's all about them. It's not necessarily just about your opponent.
Looking to the defensive side of the ball for the Falcons, Coach, one guy who really jumped out whenever I was watching some of the film, number 23, Darren Anders. I believe he blocked the punt, also had a pick six against South Alabama, a true playmaker on that defensive front for Bowling Green. He's the leader, truly, but what also stands out about that defense is specifically with him as well?
Yeah, I mean, their defense is a little bit unique in the way they twist and game and play 3 down and then 4 down and kind of mix a lot of players in there, but their secondary is really deep. They've got some good transfers that they brought in who are really athletic and very physical in the run game. I mean, they ask their corners to come up and tackle, and they've got no problem doing that. So again, we've got to be at our best. We've had a good week of practice and just got to keep changing our best and find a way to be 1-0 in the Bowling Green season.
Still more to come as we get rolling here on the PJ Fleck Show. The Gophers can fill up the stands at home, but as we chatted about a little bit earlier, they can also do so on the road too. We chat about the near home field advantage and the impact the fans are making in 2021, as well as the impact of that guy right there. Still a leader on this team, and that's Mo Ibrahim, when we return on the PJ Fleck
Show. Welcome back to the PJ Fleck Show. Let's row the boat.
Well, Coach, for the second straight week, Mo Ibrahim was the coin toss captain for your team. Did you make it a point to make him a captain each week? And how much has his presence just been felt on the sideline? We saw him on the field helping out teammates whenever they were down. Just what type of impact has he had?
Yeah, he's going to be the coin toss guy the entire year. I think he's really good at it. I think we've won every toss that he's been there. But, it keeps him really involved in the game, keeps him involved with his teammates. He is the leader. It allows everyone else who is playing to go over there and warm up and worry about them getting warmed up, not necessarily the coin toss. And, he's just such an infectious leader. And he's always had such a positive attitude. He's always got a smile on his face. He's never, ever, ever, since day one, been about woe is me. He's constantly helping the youth in this program, constantly helping the younger guys, setting the standard of even how you come back from injury. And I'm really, really proud of him. He's such a special individual. He's got a bright future in whatever he decides to do. As he keeps moving forward, and we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, Coach, it was a road game, and so that was what the road looked like. I know that meant a lot. I heard you talk about it, but what are you expecting for homecoming for that kind of show out, and what is your message to the fans and the players about this upcoming homecoming game?
Yeah, I mean, we have one of the best fan bases in the country. I mean, they're incredibly loyal, and I just thank them all the time because it was truly you don't see that all the time. We have games and a travel party comes up and there's a little section. And I mean, this is Colorado. This wasn't across a border. It's a 13-hour drive from here. If you drove, there's flights involved. There's money spent. There's all types of things like that. Hotel stays. And for our fans to show up like they did, it just means so much to our players, and I know it's not just predicated on a win or a loss. I mean, our fans love the Gophers and they love the Gophers that were before us. They love the Gophers now. They'll love the Gophers after us. And it's truly, really something very special. And with homecoming, that's what it's all about. You know, everybody always asks me, what are you doing for homecoming with your team? We don't do anything different with our team. Really, I mean, it's our job to go out there and give the best performance we possibly can for our alumni base, for people that are coming home, and do our job and play the best football game we can possibly play. There's other jobs out there, you know. As I said in my show, matching the cummerbund to your date's dress, gym all set up, and those aren't our jobs. You know, I think one of our freshmen, I mean, they ask me every year, part of the orientation, coach, is there a dance? Do we have a date for the homecoming dance? I'm like, there is no dance. There's 25,000 women on our campus. You know, I mean, you can ask the person date, homecoming, but you have to get them really what the difference is between high school and college and what that really means. And this is really for our alumni, and it's really it's a really special time for the Gophers. I know it is for everybody with their homecoming, but especially ours. And we're just thankful to have everybody coming back, and hopefully we can put on a good game for everybody.
Coach, in our final minute or so, what did it mean to get the script flipped on you post-game, where you usually give Mark Coyle a game ball? This time he presented you one to honor your 100th game as a head coach.
It was really nice, though. It just means you're old. That's all that means is you're getting older. You know, 100th game, and that's a long time, a lot of football games. So just like the players, though, there's a lot to learn from. A lot of our staff's been with us for those 100 games, and a lot to learn.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the PJ Fleck Show. Coach, as always, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time, and also join us Saturday for the Gopher pregame show as the Gophers get set to take on Bowling Green at Huntington Bank Stadium. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.